This is Mountain Vision. Welcome to the Blue Devils Football Coaches Show. Your home for all things Manchester High School football. With head coach Evan Huckstetler and your host, J.J. Hush.
Hello and welcome to the Manchester Football Coaches Show. I'm your host, J.J. Hush, with the coach of the Manchester Blue Devils, Coach Evan Huckstetler. Coach, thank you again as always.
Thank you.
So you guys coming off a bye week, after the region opening win against Bowden High School, you guys get on the board there and take control of the region, and you guys had an important bye week. Tell us about the bye week for the kids this week.
Well, this past week, the week before, it was a very physical week for our football team. We got after it as far as a physical standpoint, and we did not spend too much time on Hurd County. Matter of fact, we spent probably the least amount of time on another team during the bye week since I have been coaching with this coaching staff and here and back in Bowden. But we got after it. We hit the sled. We did a lot of Oklahoma, did a lot of tackling, and just work on Manchester football and make sure our foundation was still strong going into this next game against Hurd County.
And it's very important, I guess, to look at it and say, you get a week off, you go back and you check on yourself and see, hey,
yes,
what are we doing wrong and what can we fix at the core before we take into preparation?
Yes, this coaching staff, we've been preaching foundation since the first day we got here, and we did not want to get too far ahead of ourselves as far as what we're putting in offensively or defensively. So we just took a step back and got physical and did the ABC work of our offense and the fundamental part of our defense. And I think for the most part we got better last week.
And the thing about a lot of coaches, like especially in the midpoint of the season or later on, is bye weeks help with injuries. But you
yes,
guys have actually been pretty fortunate on the injury side. It just really gave you guys some rest from the last week.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Right now we're injury-free besides the one or two injuries that we had earlier in the year that the kids are out long-term. But right now, for the most part, we're not nursing any injuries. We're healthy from that standpoint. But small ball high school football in the state of Georgia, any time one or two injuries that comes your way, it can completely change the team. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, and we're still doing what we do, but hopefully we stay strong on the injury front.
Did you give the guys any time to reflect on the victory at all this last week, or did you try to move them forward and say, hey, that's behind us, let's go ahead and get in our mindset for the next one?
Well, I told the kids after the game Friday, I said, y'all can celebrate another day longer. And usually we let them celebrate a Saturday, and we tell them to start focusing on Sunday and come back to Monday ready to work. But this past week, we did not practice on Monday. So they had Saturday, Sunday, Monday to really reflect on beating a really good football team in the region, the defending region champions, and a team that's beaten Manchester the last 2 years. So it's a good thing for the kids to have a little pride that they beat a good football team and beat a team that was declared the champions last year. But Tuesday, when they walked in the field house, I told them that was history. It's done with, and we're not looking back. We can only go forward.
And sometimes, in some cases, when coaches use that extra day, it really does give the kids motivation to come into work the next day and be like, hey, we feel rejuvenated over the weekend.
Yes. Anytime we can do that, it's a blessing. These kids, I don't think the community or the people in the state realize what these student athletes go through. We have kids that play football, basketball, and baseball, and on top of that, they either play some type of travel baseball or AAU basketball in the summertime. So these kids put forth a lot of work, and they do it because they're living a dream. They're playing sports in high school, and most of the kids have a dream to play at the next level. But it takes a lot of work nowadays. It seems like if you're not working on 7-on-7 football in the summertime, you're falling behind. Then on top of that, you got your baseball players. If they're not playing travel ball, they may be falling behind. Then you got your basketball players. They have to play football then, and if they're not playing the travel basketball, it seems like they're falling behind. I wish it was not that way. It was not that way when I was in school. I did not pick up a baseball after the first 2 weeks in summer, and we focused on football, and I never picked up a baseball in the fall. And but now if you play more than one sport, it's year round, and they got to take care of the academics. They have to have a social life, but they're playing sports, and it anytime you can give them a day to say take care of academics, go home, it's a blessing.
And that you touched on a little bit about what's the issue nationally with this whole sports thing. Guys
Yes.
that play baseball like to play baseball year round, and that leads to a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So
It leads to injuries. I mean, the bottom line, you got to take care of your body. You got to know your body. And sometimes teenagers don't know their bodies, but I think we're blessed with some parents that understand their children, and they take care of their children. I know John Smotes, when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, he gave a speech about kids playing more sports, and I agree 100% with him. In some aspects, I wish they played more sports less amount of time. It's almost like kids going from football to basketball or basketball to baseball. You play your last game on football, and then next Monday you're at basketball practice. And they only do it for 4 years in their life, and after that, they may never have another chance to play sports. But again, sometimes too much is too much. But Monday we gave them the day off, and they came ready to go Tuesday.
So going into the season, looking back at it, it's your first year as a head coach here at Manchester High School. Just reflecting back on the first 6 games, did you think that you would be where you are now at 4-2, or was the expectations right there, or where you thought the team would be at this point?
Well, honestly, the goal that my father has always put forth in his team he's coached. Now, I use him as an example because that's the head coach I was always around all my life. He threw the records out the window as far as you're not reaching games. His goal is to get better each week. And I told the kids today that I felt like we got better each week. Some weeks we got we developed more than other weeks. Certain weeks we just took a step, and other weeks we took a couple of steps forward. But I felt that we got better each non-reaching game. Obviously, I probably would like to have the Columbus game back. They're a very good football team. They beat LaGrange a couple of weeks ago. But that's a game I feel that we kind of left on the table for us wins and losses. But we're not looking at that. We got better each week. We're fortunate to I believe we're 3-2 in our region, and that's pretty solid with the schedule we did play. And as soon as the non-region's done with, you look at region, and we try to go 1-0 each week. So each week is a new season for us. Against Bowden, we're 0-0. We were able to defeat Bowden, became 1-0, and now we're looking at the Hurricane County game, another week in the region. We're trying to win this week. So reflecting back, yes and no. I would like to be a little bit further along offensively, but from a team standpoint, I'm very pleased at where we're at.
We'll be back with more with Coach Hochstetler on the Manchester Football Coaches Show.
Time for a new mattress? Wilson's Fine Furniture in Manchester has a great selection. From twin size to king size, Wilson's has it. In fact, Wilson's Fine Furniture is your hometown mattress outlet with name brands like Sealy, Simmons, Serta, and more, all at competitive prices. Wilson's also carries a full line of living room sets from Ashley Furniture. Save big now with 30% off all in-stock living room sets. Pay cash and save even more. And don't forget appliances, your hometown mattress outlet. Wilson's Fine Furniture, Main Street in Manchester.
Here at Sun Fashions, we have a variety of all your needs, from half wigs to whole wigs, from lace front wigs to ponytails. We also carry your beauty supply needs. We have your latest fashion in jewelry, handbags, clothes, and shoes. So whenever you're in town and you want to shop around, make it your passion to come to Sun Fashion.
Manchester Farm, Garden, and Hardware is your fall headquarters. Carhartt Clothing, the right gear for any job in comfort. Available for men, women, and children. Fall flowers and cool weather vegetables, along with an array of home decor for fall and the upcoming holiday season. Fall also means hunting season, rifles, handguns, and more to make sure you're ready to bring down the big one. Don't forget the great selection of Georgia boots. It's all at Manchester Farm, Garden, and Hardware.
Welcome back to the Manchester Football Coaches Show. So, Coach, this region, Region 5 AA, is a very interesting region. I think we were talking about it off the air, that even though these teams are only played one region game apiece, everybody's records are still in between. The lowest team is only 2 games back from the number one team in the region, and it seems like it's anybody's region at this point. It's beginning out.
Yes, from the number standpoint, obviously the region champion has not been decided, and really the host of first round at the house has not been decided. After this week, we'll know a little bit more, and I think we'll know a little bit more about some other teams. It's a very interesting game taking place between Bremen and Chaco, so we'll see where both of those teams are at. Bremen's very well coached. They got one of the best coaching staffs in the state of Georgia, and the kids always play very hard. And Chaco is a very athletic team. They're very dangerous. If you don't come to play against them, they can embarrass you. And that goes for any team in this region, for that matter. I know Bowden plays Temple this coming Friday. Temple has improved a lot from last year, and Coach Rogers is probably one of the most underappreciated coaches in our region. But his kids, every year they play very hard, and they're well coached. And that's a testimony to his coaching ability, getting the kids to believe in what he's telling them. But they play really hard. So it's going to be an interesting game, Temple and Bowden. Obviously, we traveled to Heard County. I told my kids today, the last 3 years, Heard County has only been beaten one time in region, and that was last year's Bowden game. So when you talk about region 5AA, you start with Heard County at the top, and you start with the defending champion in Bowden at the top. But Heard County's been there the last 3 years, and we like our situation. We hopefully go to Heard County, give them a good football game, and it'd be a good measuring stick where our program's at.
And it seems like, in this region especially, even though you're a first-year head coach, and Bowden, of course, has a first-year head coach there, it seems like all the coaches in this region have came from very good systems and have put good programs in place for this region.
Yes. Coach Hoggins at Bremen, he's been a Blue Devil pretty much all his life, and he was with Coach Tollison at Bremen when they had their really good run in Class A. I think they went 4 years where they had some really good football teams. And I know one year I personally thought they might have been the best team in state. They got beat by ECI in the quarterfinals, and it was a one-score ball game. But he's been a part of some really good football teams. He's a very good football coach himself. Coach Andrews at Bowden, he was at North Gwinnett. He was at Grayson when they won the state championship. He has coached some 5-star football players and been a part of some big programs, and they do a good job at Bowden. And then you got Tim Barron. I was telling Coach Turner and my coaching staff that I thought as the overall program, they may have the best program in our region as far as what they do from 6th grade all the way to the time the kids graduate. They put a lot of kids at the next level, and some of that has to do with their ability, the athletic ability, but a lot of it has to do with the coaching part of it too. But their kids, from freshmen to seniors, they gain a lot of weight, they gain a lot of muscle. They believe in the system. I'm not sure how many years they've been at Heard County, but the kids understand the system. They believe in the coaching staff, and Heard County is a top-notch football program.
Yeah. And it seems like, of course, you got them coming up in the next week, but it just seems like every week in this region is going to be a fight-out battle. It doesn't matter what the record is. It seems like the coaching staffs are going to put the number one team on the field, and they're going to put a good strategy out there against you.
Yes, without a doubt. I have not looked at a region game and said this is a W. Every game, to me right now, we have to bring our best game and make plays in order to win the football game. And I like it like that. I like going to the games and feel like you have something to work for throughout the week, and it's exciting for the communities from all the region schools to be able to go to these high school games and have good competition. It's close competition.
And I think that the point that you brought up earlier about getting better each week in that non-region schedule, scheduling people like Charlton County and Columbus and schools like that really does prepare you for that tough grind-out schedule in the region.
Yes, our schedule did a good job preparing us, and I saw a lot of that in the Bowden game. I thought Columbus was a very good football team and very good defense for the team. Obviously, Charlton County, it's a good football team, and people kind of take for granted the Taylor County game. Taylor County have one of the better running backs that we have seen so far. So seeing those top players and those top teams, you got a measuring stick. You can look at Heard County on film. You can say, oh, their running back reminds me of so-and-so that we played. We got to do this a little bit better. So it's always good to play good competition. And tell you what, Heard County's played a tough schedule too. Their 3 losses are to Macon County, Callaway by a touchdown, I believe, or a point, and Fitzgerald. So they have also played a very good non-region schedule.
Yeah, the Callaway, they're 5-1 right now. And Fitzgerald,
Yes.
I don't think Fitzgerald's been beaten yet on their schedule. Maybe if they have only one loss.
Most people in state are looking at Fitzgerald being a top 2 or 3 team in Class 2A.
So let's go ahead and get into Heard County, since that's the team that you guys are coming into. And of course, you said that coaching staff of Coach Barron over there, they have a great coaching staff. But
yes.
Just looking from them on the offensive side of the ball, what can we see from Heard County going into this week?
Well, they're an explosive team. The one thing that jumps out on film, and this is not a negative term to use, but they don't have that top-notch running back in the state of Georgia. I feel like the running back they had last year might have been the best 2 or 3 running backs in the state of Georgia. He was legit, but they replaced him with probably 2 running backs. They got a younger kid that's a sophomore, and got the coach's son, Barron, at number 23. He's a senior, and both of them are very good. Barron's to me, he's a complete running back. He blocks. He can move around. He's dangerous wherever he plays, either a slot back, fullback, or tailback. He does an outstanding job. Obviously, being a coach's kid, he understands the game, understands how to block and how to run his track if they're running the counter tray or toss sweep. But they lost one of the better running backs, but they replaced him with 2 really good running backs. So I really don't see it as a loss in that department for them. They just don't have that one stud, but they got 2 really good running backs. I think the skill players for them have been some of the better skill players they had in the past couple of years. They may not have a receiver that can run a 4.4, but they got some guys that can stretch the foot vertically, and they got very good hands. You can tell they spent a lot of time this past summer working on throwing and catching, and they run good routes. They run to open grass, and they catch the football, and that's all you can ask for in high school receivers. Offensive line-wise, they get after it. They're well coached. They've been really good on the offensive line the last couple of years. They got a lot of grit about them. They may not be as big up front they have been in years past, but they get under their pad level and they get after you. So they have a complete offense. And I haven't even mentioned the QB. I think I know a lot of people talk about the sophomore from Cartersville being one of the best sophomore quarterbacks in the state, but I'm not sure why this kid from Heard County has not been mentioned that much. He's legit. He's the ball, when it leaves his arm, it looks like a little BB coming out of his hand. It has a lot of zip to it. He can throw the 5-yard pass just like he can throw the 40, 45-yard pass, and he plays smarter than he did last year. He's still a sophomore, but I think he's very mature in his decision making, and that credit goes to their offensive coordinator, Randall Curbo. He does an outstanding job coaching quarterbacks, but their quarterback's a playmaker. He's the head of the snake, but it's a very strong offensive unit.
And facing a quarterback like that is not it's not anything new for you guys. You guys, when you played Taylor County, I think we mentioned that Gunnar Watson, the guy from Taylor County, him and Lynn J. Dixon was the running back you were speaking
Yes.
of earlier. Those 2 guys are some great players that are young, and facing those guys, you've seen that before.
We have seen that. I was the QB from Heard County. I think he's a little bit better runner in that department. They're doing a little bit more running out of him this year than they did last year as a freshman. I know they run some option out of him, and they do some rollout passes or sprint out passes, whatever you want to call them. But he's legit. He's going to be a really good football player by the time he's a senior. He's already one of the better offensive players in this region.
So what's going to be one of the keys to stopping a guy like that? I know that guys that scramble around, you want to try to keep him mostly in the pocket, but the guy that can throw the ball too, it's hard to keep him in there. He can slice and dice you either way he goes.
My theory on this, it's easier said than done. I think overall the scheme, anytime you go into a football game, if a team can run the football, you need to be able to stop the run first. He may be able to pick us apart in the passing game. He's got the ability to do it, got the receivers to do it, and the play caller and Coach Kerbo, they can call a very good game throwing the ball or running the ball. They're very balanced. But anytime an offense can run the ball, and I think you have to put them in passing situations. So we're going into the game. We're going to have to tackle the running backs, tackle the QB, and knock the offensive line off the ball. But we have to stop the running game first.
And you guys, you've done a good job as far as pass defense so far this year. I think we talked about that with the guys in the secondary. They've done a really good job with Addy and those guys. They've done a good job. It seems like the run, once you guys get that locked up, y'all are a pretty good sound defense.
We have been sound at times. At times we have not been sound, but like you said, it starts with the run defense. If we have a lot of confidence going into the game, or if we make a big play, stopping the run and continue the momentum, but we have to stop the run first and let our playmakers in secondary make the plays.
We'll be back with more with Coach Hochstetler on the Manchester Football Coaches Show.
Manchester Farm, Garden, and Hardware is your fall headquarters. Carhartt Clothing, the right gear for any job in comfort. Available for men, women, and children. Fall flowers and cool weather vegetables, along with an array of home decor for fall and the upcoming holiday season. Fall also means hunting season, rifles, handguns, and more to make sure you're ready to bring down the big one. Don't forget the great selection of Georgia boots. It's all at Manchester Farm, Garden, and Hardware.
Here at Sun Fashions, we have a variety of all your needs, from half wigs to whole wigs, from lace front wigs to ponytails. We also carry your beauty supply needs. We have your latest fashion in jewelry, handbags, clothes, and shoes. So whenever you're in town and you want to shop around, make it your passion to come to Sun Fashion.
Time for a new mattress? Wilson's Fine Furniture in Manchester has a great selection. From twin size to king size, Wilson's has it. In fact, Wilson's Fine Furniture is your hometown mattress outlet with name brands like Sealy, Simmons, Serta, and more, all at competitive prices. Wilson's also carries a full line of living room sets from Ashley Furniture. Save big now with 30% off all in-stock living room sets. Pay cash and save even more. And don't forget appliances, your hometown mattress outlet. Wilson's Fine Furniture, Main Street in Manchester.
Welcome back to the Manchester Football Coaches Show. So, Coach, we talked about their offense. They got some explosive players, but any good team that plays the schedule that they do and holds the teams to the points they do, they have to have a pretty good defense.
Yes, they're very sound on the defensive side of the ball, and that's a testimony to the coaching staff. I know Tim Barron, he played college ball. I think he was a linebacker at University of West Georgia, so he's a technique guy, and they got the coordinator, Randall's brother, DJ Kerbo. He's been calling the defense for years, and he does an outstanding job. They scheme out of a 4-4 scheme. They move around a little bit more than most high school teams do. They give you a 31 look and a 22, and they move around a little bit more. So they put a lot of mental pressure on the offensive line as far as making sure we do our job from knowing who to block. But at the same time, they put a lot of physical pressure on the offensive too. They do play technique, but they do try to wreak havoc in the backfield. So they try to get up the field just a little bit more than most 4-4 teams. They're very solid. DJ Kerbo probably knows my offense better than I know it myself, and we have gone at each other the last couple of years on the football field, and they beat us twice. 2 years back to back, and we're fortunate enough to beat them last year. But as a play caller, I enjoy these games because I have a lot of respect for their coaching staff and for what they do defensively. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can make some plays in the run game and make some plays in the passing game. But they're very solid all the way around it. It falls back on the coaching staff.
And of course, every defense has to adjust to you guys because you guys like to run the ball and establish that first. But like you said, a team that's familiar with it comes in. It does make it difficult sometimes, but it comes down to the fundamentals and how you can succeed on that.
It does that. Their coaching staff's going to scheme against what we do, and we try to scheme against what they do. But the end of the day, it goes back to how we've been teaching all year long and how they've been teaching all year long. And that's, again, I go back to saying that's a testimony, but they have a system they believe in, and we have something we believe in. And I think it's going to be a very good matchup. They may have the best defense in region. I know Tim Barron on the radio said this summer this may be his best defense unit he's had at Hurt County, and I tend to believe him. Looking at them on film, they don't have any one or two players that really jump out on screen to you when you watch film, but they're as a unit, they have 11 really good defensive players and 11 guys that you can tell they've been coached and they do their job. They do what they're coached to do, and that makes it difficult sometimes. You try to look for that one defender that's not doing his job or that weak link. This team does not have that.
And that's definitely tough to face because, like you said, when you scout guys, you do look for that to kind of throw that into the scheme so that you guys can be successful. But when you have a team effort on defense, it's definitely hard to scheme against that.
They're very good, all 11. Even some of the backups they bring in, they do a good job as well.
So offensively, you guys, I know you like to run the ball and stuff, but I know we bring up Addy all the time. I was throwing the football, but even we split out Bill a couple weeks ago, and he had a couple catches. So
yes.
Would the pass game be a little bit of a factor maybe going into this ball game?
Well, definitely. The passing game is always a factor. Again, to be successful running the ball, we're going to have to stretch the field vertically, keep the safeties off of us, and because in years past, Hurt County safeties made a lot of tackles in our offense. So we need to keep the safety off of us. We got to stretch the field vertically. Anytime you have preacher man out there, that's a good thing for our offense. So we're going to try to get him the ball just like we do every week. Some weeks it's on the deep routes or intermediate routes, and sometimes it's on the short routes. So we're going to take what they give us in the passing game. But we will take some chances like we do every game, and that's a given.
And one of the things you said coming through, like each week y'all are taking steps towards being where y'all want to be. And I think in the Bowden game, it really did show on film on the offensive side of the ball, the confidence that you guys are having with your running backs and your offensive line is really coming through.
Yeah, the backs did a good job running their tracks, and we work on our tracks a lot today. But it's a confidence thing. And if we go into Hurt County with some confidence, I think we should be okay.
Going on the road is always a task. It's always something that is on your mind and stuff like that. I know you guys you're unblemished at home this year. You have a couple. You played a neutral side, of course, at the beginning of the year. But just talk about going to the road in that place, because I've heard stories from teams like Pike County and stuff that used to play against Hurt County. It was really tough going into that atmosphere over there.
Well, Hurt County's got an outstanding high school atmosphere for Friday nights. Their fans come out and support them. They have built a winning football program. The community backed the program. They backed it with support through coming to the games, support through monies, or support from just showing your community pride in town. But they have an outstanding atmosphere. It's intimidating for us. It gets the stands are closer to you. They do not have a track around it. They do have the artificial turf, so it's a fast playing surface. But for the most part, the intimidation comes from the football team. They have had some really good football teams in the past, and so that's intimidating enough. And you throw the fan base behind them, which they do get loud, and it's a good Friday night atmosphere.
What kind of tests and stuff like that do you do in practice to get you guys ready for that? Because I know going in there, you want to try to get out early and keep the crowd out of it as much as possible. But what things that you do during the week to just kind of prepare them for that atmosphere?
It's really not much we do to prepare for a certain atmosphere. We prepare for the football team itself, and like I said, that's you never know what's going to be thrown at you. But we try to keep everything in between the white lines and let everything else stay outside the white lines. So
as far as records go, I know we talked about this region so jammed up together, but you guys are at the top of the list with Hurt County. You two are the best two teams, and
yes.
This is probably the game of the week in the region.
Yes.
So this is definitely important to set yourself apart in this
yes,
region.
it's important. Some people may say this is for the region championship, but just looking at the records and how many weeks we have left, we really cannot say that yet. But the winner of the Manchester Hurt County game is definitely puts itself in the driver's seat for the region title.
Yeah. So good luck this weekend, Coach. It's at 7:30 this Friday night in Heard County.
7:30 in Franklin, Georgia.
So we're looking forward to it. See if we can get a W.
Thank you.
That's going to wrap up this edition of the Manchester Football Coaches Show. Make sure you tune in each week for the lowdown on all the Blue Devil football news.
Thank you for watching the Blue Devils Football Coaches Show. Brought to you by Manchester Farm, Garden and Hardware and JT Signs. Join Coach Huck Stetler and your host JJ Hush next week as they continue to review and preview all the Blue Devils football games right here on Mountain Vision. This is Mountain Vision.